So let's now have a look at Zion and how it's related to Israel. Here we have the Israelite encampment drawn visually, and it didn't quite look like this. This is drawn with the longer line here of Judah, because when you take a census of all the numbers of these tribes which were aligned in the east and in the north and the west and south, Judah's total of Judah, Issachar and Zebulun was almost twice as long as the others. So we have the form of a cross here. And at the centre we have the tent of meeting. So related to each of the tribes is a banner. Judah is a lion. Dan is a serpent, by the way. But he's also related to the eagle. These, I'll show you later, are related to the zodiac. And the zodiac actually shows the 12 tribes of Israel. And it's actually been perverted. And it's related to the Hebrew calendar. So Ephraim is an ox, and it tells us that Joseph's an ox, and Ephraim's an ox, and Reuben is a man unstable as water, so he's related to the man, the cherub that's a man. So these are the 4 cherubim: the lion, the eagle, the ox, and the man. Dan, the eagle, is in the constellation of Scorpio, which has a man struggling with a serpent, with one foot on a serpent and another on a scorpion, and that's sometimes pictured as an eagle, that man that's struggling. He's struggling with a serpent nature, because Dan is about judgment. Now, wherever we have 4 in the Bible, we have connections. So 4 cherubim, 4 winds, 4 tribal encampments, 4 zodiac quadrants, 4 gospels, 4 species, and Jacob's 4 wives. And for the sake of time, I don't have time to get into that. Now, in Lamentations chapter 2 we read, "How hath the Lord covered the daughter of Zion with a cloud in his anger, and cast down from heaven unto the earth the beauty of Israel, and remembered not his footstool in the day of his anger." Now, when people read through Lamentations, they're of course taking this poetically, and they're just saying, well, he's just using a little bit of exaggeration, a bit of poetic license. I don't read the scriptures that way. The more I read the scriptures, the more I kind of zero in on details. For me, I find that extremely odd that he says, "fallen from heaven to earth." And I think that God is trying to tell us a little bit more about Zion. And that Zion, when Lucifer fell, all of creation fell with him to some degree. And there was a judgment on the earth. It talks about Hallel Ben Shakar, or what we call Lucifer Son of the morning. So he was perfect in beauty. And here we have the beauty of Israel being cast down. He's also called Leviathan, Leviathan, or Levi dragon. So Lucifer is really related to Zion in some way, and he's related to the tribe of Levi. Can you remember the Korah and his rebellion and how the earth opened up? That sounds very similar to Lucifer's prospect. What happened is he fell in the past. This is how I understand it. Before Adam, he was of the order of the seraphs. He was the chief cherub that covereth. He was above the other cherubim, perhaps even above the throne where the seraphim are. In Isaiah 6 it says they sing holy, holy, holy. They are the burning ones. And when Israel sinned, God sent the seraphim, Nachashim, the fiery serpents, after the Israelites, and they bit them. And then he rose up. He gave them the bronze serpent that he raised up. We'll talk about that soon. But essentially, Satan was related to that order of cherub, the seraphs, and they're all to do with judgment and holiness. And unfortunately, he got lifted up by his pride, by his beauty, And not only did he fall, but he caused the Israel that is in the heavens to fall. So this is paradigm shifting stuff, in the sense that there's something about Israel in the past. And God is in the restoration. It's not just a restoration of stuff that happened after Adam. And I'm not saying that God's going to restore Lucifer and his minions. I'm not talking about that. But there is something that did fall. And we'll read about some other things that have happened that could not possibly have happened in this in our history now, if we take it literally. In Ezekiel 37:9, we read about the valley of dry bones, and we read, "Then said he unto me, Prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, Thus saith the Lord God, Come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live." Now, we understand that God's going to put the house of Israel and the house of Judah together. And in chapters 36 and 37, we read about Israel, and they're coming together and joining with Judah. And the valley of dry bones represents the house of Israel. But this verse shows me something else as well. That it's not just talking about the house of Israel as we know it today, or the lost tribes. It's talking about something that happened in the past, and it can't have happened this side of Adam. That Israel was slain. These didn't die. The word is not mut. They didn't die. They were slain. Okay. All right. So the word here for slain is but these have all been slaughtered. So the whole house of Israel was slaughtered, and I've never seen a time in history where that's happened. So this is actually referring to something that touches on something that happened before Adam. That's my only conclusion from that. And there's more evidence of this. Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, Our bones are dried, and our hope is gone. We are cut off for our parts.